Alrighty. Well, I am recording this, so I'll send you the recording for you to have as well. That way you can reach out to a few more people. But I know how valuable kind of our times are through this, so let's go ahead and get started if that's okay with you.
Sure. Another thing, and I didn't even know this, so I'm learning kind of along the way. I was on an AMA with a group the other day, and this really helped kind of grow it. And I didn't even know you could do this. Some of the Telegram technology, but what they did before they got started is, I guess if you scroll down to the bottom of the actual voice chat, you can invite members. So what they do on all their AMAs, they're like tell everybody that's on the call, like, hey, go click invite members. They invite everybody. Next thing you know, it like doubled the VC side pretty quick. So I
Okay.
didn't know you could do that.
Uh,
So I don't.
Honestly, neither did I. Give me.
Yeah, if you scroll down to the actual list at the bottom, it says invite members on the participant panel, and then I guess you can just
Huh. See,
uh, click
my
on people and
interesting. Mine says video screen more and leave.
um yeah, mine says video leave, and then but if you scroll the actual list of people that you can see, like their names, the
Yeah.
bottom of that it'll say invite members. The bottom of the list of the people.
Huh. I'm wondering if that's. Oh, mine's at the top. I'm a knucklehead. There we go.
I'm actually doing that now. So you guys,
Yeah. Perfect. So then, yeah. So
are
Holler will get some people in here, and then we'll kind of get started.
All right, sounds good.
So, like I said, since it's being recorded, we'll just go ahead and fire away. If you want to give a little bit of an introduction of both yourself and your project, and we'll kind of get going from there.
Sure, and obviously, I appreciate your time here. I know you have your own project and you're kind of expanding out, so I appreciate you hosting me here today. And I'll kind of give kind of my background. I started in the technology world. I'm a Microsoft certified systems engineer. I did that for a while, built out advanced website, computer systems, networks, all that kind of stuff. I got bored with that. Decided to become a police officer. So up and left. I was in New York. I moved to Florida, become a cop. Started chasing bad guys. That was definitely an interesting shift in perspective. And then that got kind of crazy. I had my children were young at the time, so I got out of law enforcement and went back into the private sector. And like I said, over the last 12 years, I've had my own marketing business outside of this crypto space. So digital marketing, educational training. We do campaigns. We've sold millions of dollars online with educational resources. And so I found crypto years ago, as a lot of people have Bitcoin. That seems to be everybody's birth into this industry, and bought it back when it was whatever. I think I got a hold of it back when it was like 600 a Bitcoin when it was at that range, and I thought it was awesome. I love I'm a technology freak. I love technology stuff, and so I just always loved the technology. And then I found this DeFi space about I don't know probably a year ago, a little less than a year ago,
Okay.
and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I thought it was just awesome. You were seeing all these 2x's and 10x's and 100x's in seconds. I mean, in seconds, like you get in on a pre-sale, and next thing you know, coins launching, and you could 100x in like It was ridiculous, and there was just so much money being made. And I'm like, this is just pretty cool. And so then I got into it. And then, of course, then I started getting hit with all the scams. I got into
Yeah.
things have evolved quite a bit even since I first got started. Like even now with the KYC and the doxing and the audits and all, it's gotten a lot better, but there's still a lot of those issues that are out there. But so I lost money. I got taken advantage of, as I'm sure I can't imagine you'd be on this call or in this space and at some point you didn't get scammed somewhere, because it's just the nature of this market. So that really, as a person, as a police officer, former police officer, I hate thieves. I hate people that steal. I hate, anything of that nature. And it just pissed me off. So I said to myself, I said, all right, well, I know technology. I understand marketing. I understand all this kind of stuff. Why don't I put my own project together so that I could, give it something that I know, I can't guarantee the results of the project. I can't guarantee 10x, 100. I can't guarantee any of those things, but I can 100% guarantee that we're a real team and I'm a real person and we're not going anywhere. There's no honeypots, rug pulls, anything like that, because that to me is where I lost a lot of money in those things, because weren't controls in place to really stop that. So because of that, I created, King Lion. And the other thing I wanted to do was not just have a meme coin, and they're great and they make money, and you got Shiba and Doge and all these memes out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to find a way that you could have something that had more sustainability, that you could grow it, and that you could not only grow it in this marketplace, but you could expand it outside of this marketplace. Because most of the projects that are in this marketplace, they, the pump and dump, and then they'd kind of just die and they're gone. Like, people move on, like their money's in, their money's out, they're on to the next pre-sale, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted a way that people could be part of a project that would have the potential to have long-term, growth, where you could grow it over time and actually make something real that can evolve, throughout the market caps. Hit a million, hit 10 million, keep, just keep climbing. So King Lion actually is backed by a software application for business research and development. And my thought process was is this is a tool that businesses use. So I sold it under a different brand, and now I've brought it under the King Lion brand. And my thought process was is that we continue to market this, but in order to bring people in, there would be two ways that people could utilize the software. They can buy it outright, and then there would be a contribution to the pool. We'd buy back, potential tokens through the funding of the sale of the software. And we could have it as simple as, if somebody's holding a certain amount of King Lion, they'll get access to the software. So that's why I wanted to couple a coin that gave back. So our actual token itself, we have a 5% reflection. We give 2% goes back to liquidity. We have 2% goes to a marketing buyback wallet, and then we have a 1% auto burn. So we wanted to make a very basic token on the front end, but give it a back end so that we can continue to grow this outside of the potential crypto space, so that it could, like I said, have, real potential anywhere.
Nice.
So sorry, that was kind of a long story to a basic question, but I wanted to, it's all, I think it's important to show, why I'm here, and why I believe in this. And this is not, I mean, we've been doing this since September. This project is not like, oh, we saw a pretty token, we saw a cool looking meme coin, so we copied it and set up a website, and tomorrow we're launching. You know what I mean? That's not this has been a thought out process where there's a lot of time, money, energy that's been invested since September to make this a real project.
Okay. So the software then, out of curiosity, what, you might have said it and it might have glazed over me, but what is the actual purpose of the software you guys have developed?
Sure. The software, what it allows people to do, and the easiest way to kind of explain it is to just give an example. So it can be used by businesses. It can be used by small businesses. It can be used by people that just want to sell products from home. Maybe even somebody that just wants to sell on Etsy. They're crafty and they create a certain type of product, and they want to sell on that platform. So just let's take, for example, let's someone is in the dog market. They want to provide products to the dog market. What you can do is go to the tool and you type in like the word dog, and then so it's broken down into sections. We have a Google section, Amazon, YouTube, Etsy, and eBay. So if they go to the Google section and put in the word dog, it's going to return all the different variables and keywords that are out there that people are looking for. So they might be looking for, and you'll see them all. A lot of times there's thousands. Like it could be dog collar, dog chain, dog leash, like that, and it'll go even deeper than that. But it returns those, and by using the different platforms, like Amazon is a buying platform. People don't go to Amazon to usually just look at things. People typically have their credit card saved on Amazon. They go over to Amazon, they're looking to buy. So people could uncover that people are buying, dog collars that are diamond plated and they're 6 inches. They could see that, okay, that's primarily what people are looking for. So then they could go after that potential product line or that market. And they can do this across all 5 of those platforms to see exactly what people are looking for out there.
Okay. Interesting. So that's kind of a cool concept. Now, your token itself then, so it sounds like it's pretty much a utility token based around the platform that you've built, or the software that you've built. So did you actually create the contract for the token yourself, or did you use something like PinkSale, DXSale?
Yeah, we actually, and this is another question we get, and it kind of tails into, how we created this, but uh, so like if you look at our website and you go down to our team, it basically lists me, and then we have like a marketing, and then we have like a dev person listed. So how this works, I'm running this project, this the King Lion project, just like I run any of my business projects in my actual business outside of here. So I'm the CEO of the company. I'm responsible for all the projects. So what we do is we build teams around projects. So there's actually more people than just what's on the website. So we actually have our own dev that we brought into the team outside of this space. Like I didn't come on, Pink Cell, or I didn't go into Telegram and say, "Hey, I'm looking to hire a dev," because there's no way I would hire anybody through Telegram without extreme vetting, because there's so much scam. I mean, I get thousands, which you probably do too. I'm sure you know the same experience. Everybody comes on your channel, they got, "Oh, I got a marketing proposal," and
Mm-hmm.
my archive chats are full of thousands of messages that everybody can bring me the world. So which it's fine. There is good people on Telegram, and there's good people in some of these groups, but I built my team outside of this industry so that I can control the team, so I can call the shots. So end of the day, I'm responsible. So we built it ourselves, but we
Okay.
didn't go after the traditional inside this community. Find somebody that because I wouldn't trust anybody, because to me the contract is the heart. It's the
Right.
soul of this project. And if I don't have my hands around it and nobody else does, or at least I know that I'm the one that really controls it, then I can't guarantee anything. But that's why I did it that way, so I could have full control and not allow anybody else access to it, so that the buck stops with me, and no one else can go in and change or modify.
Okay. Fair enough. So, since you do digital marketing for a living, especially with how the market is right now, what kind of marketing actually have you kind of planned, both for the pre-sale as well as anything planned for after launch?
So what we're trying to do now is, I'm really, and because yes, we've done digital marketing, and we can do whatever we want outside of here, right? We've been highly successful, but this is a whole different industry inside of this, which I'm sure you've learned yourself, that it's not traditional. The things that I think would work out there don't necessarily work here. So inside of here, we're kind of doing what we have to build out our Telegram group. We're doing AMAs like this with channels like yourself and other called channels, so that we can attract the right people in. My goal is to use the marketing that we have inside of this community, the AMAs. We have a shield team. We're doing everything. We're trying to do everything the right way, to build that group to get the project launched. So my first order of business is do what I have to do so that I can get the project launched. Because once it's launched, then I can take over and do what I do on the other side. So that's the first order. Let's get it launched. Let's have us fill the pre-sale, get it live, get things rolling. Then so our future plans, once we get it launched and we flush, I mean, you've probably seen it, and I think anybody else has seen it. You got usually 24 to 48 hours where the coin's up and down, and it's kind of fluttering, and people are jumping in and out. Your pre-sale people that want to just cash out are leaving. So you want to let it get settled. You get on your exchanges, and then you can start really pumping things and moving it. So at that point, we have a two-phase thing that we want to implement. The first thing is, what we do outside of here in digital marketing is we run a lot of ads, Facebook ads, Instagram, YouTube, Google, as well as Twitter. So the great thing is that Facebook just lifted its they used to pretty much ban crypto ads, so you
Yes.
couldn't run anything crypto. Now, there's always creative ways to do things, but they've opened it up to where they're like, "Hey, you can advertise here." I don't know to what extent they're allowing. I haven't tested the boundaries,
So,
but we have a. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say we're struggling a bit on that front. We're waiting on their written permission to allow our ads to be able to be promotable again. So it seems like they're just
Yeah,
kind of reviewing everybody on a case by case basis to make sure that like pump and dump memes aren't being promoted.
sure, and I would expect that. I mean, so but there's other ways to do it through Facebook that isn't so like, "Hey, here's this coin," because they're looking at this. A lot of these, like Twitter, I know especially, is looking at it like this is the financial market. So they're treating these like regular finance, which it is, but technically it isn't, because it hasn't been defined. Really, there's no parameters around this industry, but Twitter is basically saying, "Oh, this is financial. You can't promote financial type stuff." But there's always ways to do it in a proper manner. So our first order of business would be to go after what I like to call low hanging fruit type people on Facebook, and those are people that have expressed some type of interest in crypto in general. It could be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, Shiba, anything like that. Because those kind of people, I don't have to educate too much, right?
Hmm.
They already probably have a wallet. They probably already bought it, so they understand general dynamics of how crypto works. So to bring them into this marketplace, to get them coming into to the Binance side, to buy King Lion wouldn't be as hard. And that's like what I said we do outside here. We do education. So to me, it takes education to get people over here. So that would be the first level, is go after people that understand crypto, but they might not know about this marketplace or how to get King Lion. So we would bring them over. The second phase to this, I really think, is educating people in general, just the general population on um, crypto and how to get into it. So that's kind of a longer sales process, but that's what we do. We build out what we call sales funnels. So these are like funnels where we take people in at like the point A, and we move them to point B, point C, and then finally, point D is where we get them to actually come into the project. So we're going to market to that. And then thirdly, we want to market the actual software application, which is not restricted at all anywhere on any of the platforms, to general businesses, small business owners, things of that nature, because we want to make it so that they could either come in, like I said, and buy straight up, buy the tool for putting their credit card in, because that makes it easy, and then we could take a percentage of that sale and put it into buyback, and then continue to pump the token in that fashion. Or they could buy King Line if they wanted to and hold it and have access to the software. So it's kind of a three-phase approach of what we're looking at to expand this outside of this space, because I, you know, I looked at all the marketing that's in the space, people putting up ads on, PooCoin or Dex tools and all that. I'm not saying those don't work, but they charge absorbent amounts of money, and I really find it hard to believe that the return on investment, if I pay $10,000 to put an ad on PooCoins, am I really getting that return back, or are they just playing the game because they think that that's what their people want to hear? I'm all about looking at putting marketing out that brings a return. If I spend $1,000, I should be getting $2,000 back. That's what we do outside of this world. So that's our goal. That's what we plan to do once we get live, and that's kind of what we're looking to do to continue to grow this.
I can appreciate that, especially the comment on the ad prices. PooCoins is bad, but Dex Tools is even worse. I think like their top tier one, it's like 25 grand for a week for like the number one spot. I think on like the top right, like when you click to view all coins, like I cannot believe how much they charge, but people pay it because for that split second they think it's gonna work, and it might give them like a 24-hour pump. But yeah, it's insane what they're willing to charge.
Yeah, and I really don't. I mean, it might, maybe they pump, and maybe they have a wallet that they're dumping, and they make money back with it to buy more.
Yeah,
But that's not sustainable. That's not real market. That's like playing the game in this industry. It's like, they're playing the game. They're like, everybody's like, oh, when are we going to have PooCoin ads up? I'm like, no, that's not smart business. I mean, yes, if it works, if the ads are up there and your coin's going well and everything, that's fine. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying there's probably no trackability unless they're just running one thing. All the metrics and everything we run, I can track them. I can track
right.
them back and see directly how they affect things.
Okay. So then, kind of gearing towards the pre-sale itself, I know you guys had some of the same hiccups we did. Looked like your first one didn't work. What? And I shouldn't say didn't work, but it's a rough time to launch a new project. But what have you adjusted? Have you relaunched it yet? And what's the new like hard cap?
Sure, and I always, to me, this is and I've heard I've been on other AMAs, and they ask people like, well, you failed on the pre-sale, and they're like, oh, they try to blame it on, all sorts of these other things. You know what? It was a failure. We didn't make it, and and I like to address it because I think it's a learning experience. I don't look at it as a failure. I look at it as like, hey, it didn't go how we planned, and let's figure out what we did and what we didn't do, and then how can we fix it. So the first one here, it's kind of an interesting situation. So when I started to launch this project, I joined the Pink Sale, which if you're on this call, Pink Sale is
Mm-hmm.
obviously the pre-sale platform that seems to be the choice. They have a private group for owners, which I know Joe's in and I'm in, and that's how we actually met, through that group. And people will, post their projects, and you can talk to other CEOs and people that are involved on the backside of the tokens. So it's a private group. You can't just join it. It's supposed to be pretty exclusive to only token creators and their teams. So, anyways, I'm in the group and I was connecting with people like Joe and like all these other really good people because to me, the way I've built my other business too is I like to network. I like to find other good people. And like I said, that's how Joe and I met and we kind of connected and you help each other out and you share things. Like we're not looking to like, well, Joe, send me this money because that just to me, I like to build, and share information. And that's why Joe's hosting us here today because, we worked on some stuff together. So, anyways, in this group, I end up seeing this project, and I'm not going to mention names because I'm not about throwing people out there. So I see this project. They met their hard cap like within seconds. Like their pre-sale went live. The hard cap just the green line just zipped across the screen. I'm like, damn, that's pretty impressive. So I started to research all these different tokens that closed their hard cap, and I would reach out to the owners that were in the group, and I would ask them for their time. I would offer to pay them for their time. I'm like, hey, can I ask you a question and I'll send you money? Like I don't expect anything for free. So I did that with a bunch of people. Nobody ever took my money. So that was really cool. Everybody's like, no, ask a question. I'd be happy to help you. So I connected with this project that closed out their, like I said, their hard cap in seconds. The guy that was running it put me in contact with his marketing guy that was on the team, and they were giving me all sorts of great information. Here's some show groups. Here's what you need to do. Like they were really super helpful, and they didn't ask for anything. And then one day the guy says to me, he's like, "Hey, if you want, I will run the marketing on this project for you, and you pay me after we hit the hard cap." So I'm like, "Well, shit, I can't pass that. I mean, that's a no brainer. I mean, the guy just closed a hard cap. He obviously knows what he's doing. He's not trying to scam me because he didn't say, "Hey, send me, 10 B and B and I'll do it." He's like, "Get the card cap and then pay me X amount from, you closing it out." And I'm like, "Hey, that's a fair deal." We jump on board. Things are going great. I'm doing all these AMAs. Well, I say they're going great. They appeared to be great because I didn't know any different. So he had me doing AMAs, but they weren't voice ones like this. They were actually text.
Oh
So I
God,
would join.
I'm sorry.
No, you know where, yeah, and you
Yeah,
already know where I'm going now because
yeah.
you. So I'm doing. I did like 14 of them, and he set the arrangement up so that I would pay these people after I met the hard cap. So still, once again, this looked like an awesome setup for me. I didn't have to put anything up front. These people were putting me out there to their communities. The group was growing. I'm like, this is awesome. So then he's like, all right, well, let's set up an airdrop. So let's go buy this airdrop company. And I'm like, okay, that's what they did. So he's telling me everything else. Like I said, I'm following my instructions. So I bought the airdrop. They set up the airdrop and they blasted out. So before they blasted, our group had about 3,300 people in it. A decent group.
Hmm.
And they blasted out on a Friday. By Sunday, we had 20,000 people. So they added like 16, 17,000 people over the weekend. It was insane. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is like I'm sitting back thinking, I got 4,000 people online at a time. I'm thinking everything looked just like his project looked. And I'm like, this is great. So anyways, not to keep going on and on with it. We get to the hard, or we get to the pre-sale opens
Wait,
up.
wait, 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 wait. Wait, can you please keep going on and on? This is important stuff. That's not frivolous stuff. Please
Well,
do.
I mean, essentially, we didn't do it. That's all the stuff we did. He basically had me do the AMAs. He brought in he claimed he had a shill team that was shilling the project, so they were going out and telling other groups about it. So we were supposedly had a shill team. We had a hype team in the community, saying rah rah rah, come by us, which I understand. Some people like it. Anyways, we had all the elements that I thought that this market wanted. And so then we get to the actual pre-sale, and we this was back on December 7th, and it was 10 a.m. Eastern. It was 3 p.m. UTC time. So we get in. We got like in the group I'm looking, we got like 4,000 people online. I'm like, oh my God, this thing's gonna be awesome, right? We're just gonna light it up. So we turn on the VC 30 minutes before. We had about 100 and I feel like it was about 140, 150 people on the VC. Seemed pretty engaged. They were asking questions. I'm like, okay, this is all good. We got a good audience. I was a little bit like, okay, well, there was 4,000 online. We only got 100. But anyways, I'm like, okay, that seems okay. So we flip the switch, or the timer comes down, the pre-sale starts, and the green light starts going. We had a 600 B&B hard cap, so we had a 600 B. He told me we're gonna fill it, piece of cake, no problem. Because I even said, I'm like, initially I'm like, hey, let's just do 200. He's like, no, man, I can fill. Let's go six. I can fill it. I'm like, all right, if you can fill it, we'll go bigger. So, anyways, you start it, starts going. People are buying in. It's running and running. Then it stops. It got up to about 260. So we came 40 B&B short of a soft cap, which probably wouldn't have been that great anyway, because if we used up all our buyers, to just meet the soft cap when we launched, it probably wouldn't have done much anyway. So I'm not glad, but it didn't meet the soft cap. We so at that point we were like, okay, we the pre-sale was open for, I think we had it set for 7 days, but there was no way I was holding everybody's money for 7 days, because I'm like, that's just not right. So I figured, okay, let's regroup. Right, if I fall down, I fail in business. I step back, I look at what we did, and I look at, like, okay, well, we're close to getting the soft cap, so what can we do in the next 24 to 48 hours, in the next 2 days? What can we do? What plan can we put together to at least hit the soft cap and get this thing live, so then we can continue to market and continue to build a project? So I go to him, and we, after this pre-sale, we wrapped up the VC, and I'm like, okay, so what's the plan? He goes, well, I think we should wait. I'm like, all right, what do you mean we should wait? He goes, well, just let it, just let it kind of, if people come online and stuff. I'm like, I said, waiting is not a plan. I said, what the hell are you talking about? I said, these people, we have their money. They put our money, they believed in our project. We're not holding it. Pink Sale's holding their money. So then people start emergency withdrawing, right? Because they're like, okay, something's not right. We're pulling our money out. So I'm like, dude, we're going backwards now. Like we were at 255, 260, then we're 242, then we hit 200. I'm like, we're not, we got to stop the bleeding. If there's no plan, people are going to just take their money. But he's like, let's just wait. So I'm in the group, kind of, trying to be like, hey, we're trying to put together a plan. And he couldn't ever come back with a plan. Like, he didn't know. So at the end of the day, I put my faith and my trust in this person. They didn't scam me. He didn't take any money from me. He wasted my time, my energy. And, if I would have went with my original hard cap based upon what he did, we would have met it, and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now, because Joe and I would be talking about how we're live, and we'd be sharing other stories with each other. Right. So, but be that as may, we failed, and, it is what it is. So since then well, the thing that I found, so I'm about finding answers. I'm like, okay, well, what the hell went wrong? We had 24,000 people in our group. We should have been able to fill 1,000 hard cap. I said, what the hell? What is that? We had 4,000 people online. What, I tried to, he's like, well, I don't know. I said, I'll tell you what it is we bought this damn airdrop, and maybe they were real, maybe they weren't. I don't know. At the end of the day, I think the airdrops are great for vanity, for display, to be like, oh, look at us. We got a 24,000 group. We got all these followers on Twitter and our Facebook and our Instagram. And if I was to advise someone that wants to look like they have a big project, sure, buy an airdrop, let them blow up all your social media. You're going to look pretty impressive, but you're going to look like you're trying to scam people when you go to launch a pre-sale and you can't fill any hard cap, right? We didn't fill even a 300 or a 600. We didn't get anywhere with all this. And that's what we look like, a scam, because everybody's like, oh, your group's botted. You're trying to scam people. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I did what we did the process. So what I did is, and this was, he's like, don't do it. This is a mistake. I said, no, I shut the group down. I said, the group's done. I'm not trying to pull the right kind of people. I don't want people clicking on when we're trending on Pink Sale. I don't want them coming over here saying, what's going on here? It didn't look right. It just didn't look right to have that group. And it wasn't real. They aren't real people. They might be real people. Maybe all 16,000 of them just want the free airdrop, and they're never going to buy. I don't want those kind of people anyway.
Right.
Not for the pre-sale. Down the road, to hold the airdrop and longevity, that's all great. But they're making me look like I'm doing something wrong because I have this massive group of people that don't do anything. So anyways, we shut the group down. I basically scrapped the whole thing. I said, the group's closed. I post messages every couple of days, we 2 3 messages a day telling people we started a new group. If you want to follow us, come to this new group. The reason we did it was, we think we got bots. We think we got a lot of people in the area. So I'm very transparent. I'm going to tell people, hey, we screwed up. Here's what we did. But anyways, this time I've connected with another marketing person that's helped me quite a bit before I even brought them in to do anything. But we're focused more on real AMAs like this, where I get to talk, where it makes sense. So I've been talking to a lot of groups like this, where we do have a good shield team that's going out and working. The group is definitely a lot smaller now. I think we hit like 600 this morning. But they seem like real people, and you don't need a lot of people. I mean, our new hard cap just on that whole thing is only 150. So I brought it back. I'm trying to build real people that support. We have people that supported the pre-sale. They're back. They want to support this time, and they've all reached out to me like, we believe in the project. We believe in you. We're here. Don't worry about it. We're in the group. So the group is much smaller, but I feel that it's much more real. There are people that there's a lot of marketing people in there too, because they join and then they try to sell you, which Joe knows that all too well. That so yes, do we have 600 good solid people? No, there's a good chunk of those that are just marketing people trying to sell us something, or just take our money for that matter. But that's the long story of the whole but I like to tell it because I think it's important. And yeah, at the end of the day, am I responsible? Yes. It's my name that's on this. It wasn't his name. It wasn't his name on anything. It was all my name, but I followed the direction of what I thought was appropriate. Because when someone helps you in this community, like they did, right? He gave me no indication that, and I don't think he meant it not to. I really don't think he meant for us to not succeed, right? He wanted to get paid. Why wouldn't he? I
Right.
just don't think the tactics he used, maybe they worked for his token, but they didn't work for our token for some reason. And, that's why we moved on from the group and the process, and we're really building, real interested people that want to join and support us for this pre-sale.
Well, I mean, end of day too. Between Thanksgiving and New Year's, it's a rough time to launch a new token. Our hard cap was a little bit higher than yours, but it's a lot of the same issues that we ran into. Our big issue, we had like a whitelist application in our group, and we had a little over 300 people that manually filled out a whitelist application saying that they were going to, on average, to BNB. So this isn't including all the whitelists that we give away or the whitelist from the AMAs. These were people who manually filled that out. So we should have theoretically hit our soft cap, because if all 300 of those people would have gave the two they committed, we would have hit 600. We would have hit the soft cap. It'd have been fine. And I think the first like 20 minutes we skyrocketed it up to like 140, and then it was a stall because we had a whitelist for a full 24 hours. So because it was stalled and people in the public aspect couldn't buy it yet, it just looked bad. It was like we ran out of gas on the starting line. So same concept. We kind of re-strategized the following Monday, relaunched with a lower hard cap because we knew how many people wanted to buy. So we dropped our hard cap knowing that once it cleared, and it cleared in 20 minutes, when we went live, then people would immediately be able to start buying on PancakeSwap. And we knew that there were people who wanted to buy. So it was a good idea to not only lower it, but kind of lower it a little bit more than your initial thought. Because now, have you relaunched it yet? Have you hit the hard cap, or are you doing that this weekend?
Sunday, or excuse me, Monday is our
Monday.
pre-sale.
Okay.
So we're at 75 150 come
Yeah.
Monday morning at or 3 p.m. UTC time. We launch on Monday. So
Yeah, and I'd advise too, do an AMA in your group when it happens. That's what we did. We knew it was going to happen, so within 20 minutes of us being on a call as a group, like we hit it like that, and we were kind of able to really get it going in a healthy way. And then it also lets you kind of see who in your community is going to be really valuable towards the project. I see a lot of names that are actually on this call right now that I recognize that have pretty much been on every call and been there every step of the way. So it really helps you see who in your community is going to be awesome towards the long scale, or the long term of the project. But moving on from that, so I know have you done any other voice AMAs then, or is this your first one?
no, I've done.
Okay.
I've done other ones. I've done other groups. Yeah,
What,
I've only focused on those this time because after talking, so I reached out to. I've actually was in how I learned the DeFi and trading, on poo charts and all that, was a private group of another marketing counterpart of mine had a package on it, a training course, and that's how I got into this community. So one of the people in that community was got scammed a lot, and he created his own group. So I've actually, and I didn't even know he was on here during my first pre-sale. Otherwise, I would have probably reached out to him and worked through him. But he connected me with. I'm actually doing his project later, his AMA later today. But he connected me with other cool people that are like doing real AMAs, and they were actually pretty tough on that. They're like which I love. I love the questions like, hey, this doesn't make sense, or what is your purpose, I mean, they were asking really stuff that if you or don't really know your stuff, you're going to get jammed up and they're going to basically spit you out. So and mind you, a lot of those, they charge you.
Oh,
They charge you to
100%.
come on.
Yeah.
So which is, it's kind of weird that, like, hey, I'm going to pay to be abused, but at the end of the day, which I thought was cool, that I'm like, hey, these guys are technically, you hire them, but they're not sugarcoating it, just saying go buy this. They're basically, they're throwing some hard questions, and if you falter, their group's not going to support you, which I think is awesome. I think it should be that way. You're paying to get in front of their audience, and if you can pass the Shark Tank, I almost want to call it that, then I think they should support you, which is what appears to be the case with when I got through that, because they're like, man, you answered everything, and so I think that's a really great thing, and that's much better about these voice ones. The text ones just seemed all scripted, and honestly,
Bots.
looking back, I think they were all botted,
Yep.
because I watched all the questions come up during like the Twitter section, where the Twitter, and they're all the same identical questions, and they flew in like thousands and thousands at a time. So I think those are just, I mean, maybe some of them are legitimate, but they seem scams looking back on them now, to be honest.
Out of the few text AMAs we did, one definitely was legitimate. I'm not gonna trash talk the name of the one that wasn't. What's sad is it was
Yeah.
the one I look forward to the most. I thought it was going to be a voice AMA. It was with a very large group, and then it ended up being in 3 different languages. It was the same AMA for each one, the same bots in each group. It was rough. But
Yeah.
what other
Yeah.
groups have you done voice AMAs in then?
So, and here's the cool thing too. And you mentioned about people in the community supporting you. So I really believe in building community. I think the community is important, because that's who's supporting you. That's without the community, I'm nothing. I can sit up here and say I run in all this and I'm the CEO and all that, means nothing without a community. Because if you don't launch your project, you're nothing. You don't have a project. So actually one person in the community said, "Oh, I'm in this private group. Let me talk to them. They only invite select people in." But he believed in our project enough, so we actually got invited to the Ape Tank,
Okay.
which is a private Discord group. We did that. We did one over at the Coin Launch Lounge with Brian. That was the one that they don't mess around there. Like, they will call you out on everything, but as long as you can answer, the questions, and you have good, as long as you know your shit and your project's legitimate and you can back it, you're not going to get faltered by it. And I loved it. And the other cool thing about the Coin Launch community, the lounge.
Wait, can I interrupt, Mr. Lyon, real quick,
Sure.
about Brian? So did you get stumped with anything? Did you go back and look? Did he? Where were some of the things that where he wasn't, because he doesn't joke, right? He comes at you hard, and their whole entire goal is to find if you're going to be a scam or not. So,
Sure.
can you talk about that, because that's real, and I'm letting everybody know, you know who I am, in our group. Who he's talking about is they're purposely created to go after scams. And if you're a scam and you pay money, you pay good money to get in their system. And I've seen their disclosure, and they let you know if you come in here and if you are a scam, we're taking your money and we're gonna blast you everywhere, saying you're a scam. So if you pass that, can you expound on that just a little, because that's real important. And I don't mean to interrupt. I apologize, but this is a big deal. What you're saying right now, it's a big deal.
No need to apologize. I mean, I would rather have these open forums, and I, and they didn't warn me. They don't warn you, which I didn't even know
Yeah.
about that disclaimer. Which is
Yeah.
fine, because,
Well,
like I said, if
they
you're
do warn you.
legitimate.
They do.
Okay, well,
It's in their system. You go through when you pay, because they put in their system.
okay.
I've read it through, and I'm looking at them, and Brian, he says, listen, we will jack you if you can't, if you're not ready as a project.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sorry. Let me be quiet. Go ahead.
No, and I think they should, and I'm glad he ran it that way. But the only they didn't stump me with anything. He did have one question about our locked tokens didn't match up the pink sale. But what had happened is when we reset the second pre-sale, it was different than the first one. So I actually went back to my spreadsheet that maps out all the tokens and everything. And I had missed, I needed to lock more tokens. So I told him, I said, give me 5 minutes, and I locked the tokens, and then everything matches up from our chart on our website to pink sale. That was the only thing. He's like, oh, wait a minute, this number doesn't match. I'm like, well, give me a second and I'll tell you exactly what happened. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, it should match. And then I looked, I'm like, oh, on my spreadsheet, I had a section when we adjust the numbers, it says need to add to locked. And I didn't move them over. So I immediately went to the locker and locked them up and matched up the numbers. Other than that, they're very intense there. Like this is Joe's kind of, calm and laid back, and he's asking good questions. But I mean, they come at you hard, and they're like, "Well, okay, we'll explain why this, and give me the functionality here, and what's this?"
Yeah.
And I can post a. I mean,
Sure.
it's up to Joe. I don't want to promote other things, but I mean, I can post a link to it. It's about an hour, and it was a very great. I was awesome AMA. After I got off that, I'm like, if I can get past these guys, I can get past anybody because they dig into everything. Like you said, they look at the ins and the outs. They look at the person and they look at the project and they try to expose you, which is what they should do. I mean, everybody should be like that. And I thought it was actually exhilarating that they were coming at me. I'm like, all right, bring it on. Like I'm here. I'm not. You can try to push me down. I'm going to stand back up because I got the answers because we're here to stay. So phenomenal AMA. So and one of their counterparts, Boria, with anti-ruggers. I imagine he's going to be as tough to me later today, which I want him to bring me the toughest questions. And if I don't have an answer, like I don't know everything in this industry because we're newer. So, but I'll find the answer. And that's how I look at all my business. I may not be perfect. I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm going to tell you, hey, screwed up. We screwed up on the first pre-sale. We made a mistake. It's not his fault. It's my fault for trusting that he could get us there. And I shouldn't have put all my eggs in that basket. That was on me. And I'm the responsibility. That's why I'm the face of this project. And that's why we have our KYC. That's why we have our doxing. That's why we have our audit. At the end of the day, it's my name on the bottom line. And I basically took us down that road and it happened. So I take response. That's why I'm not going to call him out saying this guy's an idiot. You know what? He did the best he could. It couldn't get us there. I look at that. I move on. I don't have any ill will or bad feelings. And that's why I'm not going to run around and talk about people because that's just not who I am.
So we actually did an AMA with anti-ruggers. He's a little on the tough side, but he prefers, so he looks for in his community, a lot of his questions are actually more meme tokeny questions. They look for the ones that they can kind of jump in on pre-sale, and then when that first red candle starts afterwards, that's where they like to pull out so they can kind of make their profits, move on to the next one. But there have been a few people in that group that have stuck around that are really solid long-term investors. So he'll hit you with tough questions, but his group, I mean, they're legitimate people, but he might rub you the wrong way. It's just kind of his personal touch. But I did actually enjoy kind of how fired up I got talking to him. So it'll be a fun one for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I've dealt with some of the harshest criminals out there from the law enforcement side. So whatever these guys got,
Yeah, no big deal.
it's nothing compared to what I don't get flustered. Like I said, if they ask me something, I don't have an answer. I'm just like, hey, I don't like with the token thing at first. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. It did make sense. I'm like, wait a minute, what happened to my numbers? I'm a numbers guy. I have spreadsheets. I run the numbers. I said so, and then as soon as I pulled my conversion sheet up from looking at the layout, I'm like, oh, here it is, and it's just a simple fix. But yeah, I love it. I think the tougher the better. I mean, it's going to expose the crappy projects out there because people are going to falter and they're not going to have answers.
I agree. So moving on, because you were mentioning a little bit about how your things weren't lining up. So talk about the actual tokenomics a little bit further beyond just like the taxes. So how are your tokens portioned? Is there vesting periods for either private investors or for your tokens themselves on the Pink Sale platform? How do you have it all set up?
Sure. I mean, if you look at Pink Sale, it's going to show us. Let me see here on the Pink Sale.
When
on the Pink Sale side,
Pink Sale doesn't always show things correct. So like we have a lot.
Yeah, it
locked.
doesn't. But
yeah.
I just wanted to match it up because we actually have our own sheet too. But I'm looking over there. So Pink Sale basically shows that we burnt like 5%. We're doing like 22%. We have our liquidity pool. We locked about 44%, and then we have unlocked about 15%. So if you actually look at our website, these numbers pretty much match up now. We have so we did burn 5% in lieu of the pre-sale. The pre-sale is going to be about 22% of the tokens. We did have a private sale back in September to launch the initial project, so that takes up 15%
Okay.
of the actual pool. The liquidity is going to be 13. We have 1% set aside for the airdrop people, and then we've locked 44% for future development. I think it's locked out like 3 months. At least our liquidity is going to be is locked for 5 years, so that's not going anywhere. So that's the general breakdown of that. Now I want to answer. A lot of people ask this, so I'd rather just throw it out there
Mm-hmm.
ahead of time. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, all right, well?" And you asked about vesting. So on the side, a couple things on the vesting. There's no team tokens, so I'm running the project. The main reason to run this project was because as I told you my story, I was sick of garbage being out there. I was sick of people getting scammed. I wanted to give them something real. I don't need to run this project. We have our own successful business outside of this. I'm not running this to have a bucket full of team tokens or anything like that. So there's no vesting because there is no team wallet because the team runs through me. I'm calling the shots. So there's no team wallet. As for the private sale people, because everybody's like, oh well, you get 15% in the private sale. There, what if they just dump on when we go live? You know what I say? Well, there's two things I say to that. First off, 99% of the private sale people aren't from this market. They're not crypto people. I had to give them detailed instructions on how to set up a wallet. They didn't even know what the hell I was talking about. So first off, they're not typical crypto people. Secondly, they're looking they're not big on short term gains. Like, oh, let me just quick make 2x 3x. They're more long term growth people. Now on the flip side of that, I can tell you that all day. I can say that all day. They're not vested. Either are pre-sale people. So as soon as now all tokens, just so if you're new to launching these, you you don't distribute tokens ahead of time, because if you do and someone dumps liquidity into one just fooling around or something, they're going to screw up the whole entire project. So none of our tokens can be sent out to anybody, pre-sale, private sale. So nobody holds any tokens except the main contract, the main wallet. So as soon as we flip the switch on pink sale, once we meet our hard cap, and then we flip the switch to go live on pancake swap, then at that point we're going to funnel out, we're going to drop all the tokens out to, you can claim them obviously on pink sale for the pre-sale. The private sale people will be dropped, so everybody's getting their tokens at the same time. So let's say let's play devil's advocate here, right? Let's say my private sale people basically say, well, screw this, we're just going to go ahead and take our 2x and run away. You know what I say? Let them do it. You want to know why? We have a 5% marketing wallet, also a buyback wallet, and we have a 2% liquidity. I want people to dump the token when they come out, because you know what that's going to do? It's going to flush anybody out that's not serious. The liquidity is still going to continue to fill up. The marketing bucket's going to fall up. We can do buybacks. We can continue to push it. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who sells the coin when we go live. It's not going anywhere. The liquidity is locked for 5 years. That's not being touched. We have our full platform. Like I said, we have the KYC, the doxing. So we're here. The project's not going anywhere. The liquidity is never going to empty out, because it's always going to continue to fill as people sell. It's going to take the tax and dump it back in. It's going to get, so I'd rather fill up the buckets, get rid of the people, because like I said, once you get past that 24, 48-hour period, that's when we get to build. So then we got our buckets full, and we go ahead and move forward and we implement our plan. So at the end of the day, I can't control anybody. Once we put the tokens in your hands, pre-sale people, private sale people, anybody that holds the tokens, they're free to do whatever they want with the tokens. Would I prefer they hold it and let us build this project out? Sure. But if they sell, let them sell. They got to pay the tax. Let them fill up let them fill up the liquidity even more, and let them fill up our marketing wallet. So that's how I answer that of, well, what if they do? What if they do? That's how I say it. To me, it's not a bad thing. I think people look at it like, what if they? I think people think that all the pre-sale people can just sell, and then the token gets rugged. They're like, oh, this is a rug. I'm like, no, it's not. It can't be rugged, because as they sell, more money goes into liquidity. Liquidity doesn't just disappear. So that's essentially, I wanted to address that piece too, because that's, I think, a pertinent question.
It is. One end of day, volume is volume. So granted, downtrend volume sucks, but on a reflectionary token like yours and mine, volume is still volume. Everybody's getting reflections. The marketing wallet is growing. Liquidity is growing. Like, it has as much benefit as it does negative. It's just kind of what you do with it after it happens. Because inevitably, once you go live, whether it's a pre-sale, a stealth launch, any of that, you're going to see the pump and then the dump. It's just how it works, because there's people who see it, they want to make a quick buck, they want to get out of it. But anybody who believes in your project, I mean, end of the day, it comes down to you. It doesn't really matter what the pre or private sale people do. Some people are going to get in for their quick buck. Other people are going to stick around. We were a little bit more dangerous in how we lived, because when we did our private sale, I airdropped tokens as they were coming in. I didn't actually even think twice about it. And none of my private sailors actually screwed us. They could have. They could have put liquidity on that token and launched it for us, and I didn't even think of that.
I was like you until I read it somewhere on like Pink Sale thing. I was going to drop their tokens ahead of time. And granted, I probably would have been fine, just like you said, because most of them didn't know what a wallet was anyway. So they would have been like adding liquidity. What the hell are you But in the rare chance, I just, now that I do know it, I'm playing it closer to, hand. And that way too, everybody's getting their tokens. So and I like it this way better, because then, the private people there's no benefit that, they got a little bit better token ratio. They got like 2 trillion to the 1.5. It's not that big a difference. So, and those metrics are on the website, but for the most part, they don't have a huge advantage to anybody. And like I said, let everybody dump. I'm not saying I don't care. I'm just saying, you know what? It's the token is built to absorb if people decide to do that and continue to go in the right direction. We may drop down, like you said, but then we can just use what we've gained from that to build back up.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, can I ask a question? We have a couple of guys from the kind of core group that want to ask a couple questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, fire away.
Deck. Yes, I like the deck. And Dev. Brian said he liked you guys and he liked the deck. He also liked the dev team. So, all right, cool. There we go. Brian says you were cool. Just want to check on you. One of our guys, Tyler, is asking. He wants to know a little bit about the software, the pricing, and will there be renewing licenses or subscription, or will it be subscription based? Can you go into the actual marketing of your project right there?
Yeah, and that we haven't actually. I'm still, because there's different. I think it was actually Brian and some of his people that talked about like Dex Tools. I think is they recommended what has a really good subscription model. So at this point, we haven't actually drawn a line in the sand and said, it's going to be X. It's going to be X amount of tokens to hold. It's going to be recurring. It's going to be a yearly. It's going to be lifetime. I'm trying to simplify it in the beginning to just, if they're holding a certain amount, we're going to have it set up to allow them to have access to the software. That's the easiest way to come out of the box for what I like to call the Founders Club, right? The first people that are supporting us in the beginning and they want access to it. We're going to look at it in that simple of a fashion. Then we're going to expand it outward to probably more of it could be a subscription model where it's quarterly, I found those work pretty well, or a yearly type subscription model. But we haven't decided those and locked them down, 100% at this point.
Okay. All right. When you're talking, I understand the founders idea, right? Like, okay, boom, you're going to reward the people who are with you, and that have got your back, right? And that's important, I think. But also, let's say that people who come along who are just as, hung-go for you, and they're like, yeah, I love this project. I love, like, people down the road. We've had people in American Dream who are coming on that are just shilling the shilling out of us, right? And they're pushing it, and they definitely get more, reflections and things like that when it comes to that. But you also have another part behind that, where it's only, are you going to be able to add people on to your founding people, where you're going to give them and set them up with a higher reflections or whatever base system that you're doing?
No, the contract's the contract, so there's nobody's going to get I meant from a Founders Club, they would get access for just holding a certain amount of tokens, and then if we change that model to subscription, they wouldn't have to pay a subscription. They're going to have a lifetime license. So that's all I meant from a Founders Club, is they would be rewarded for coming on the journey with us before anybody else believed in the project. So I wouldn't expect them to pay, a subscription fee. So we would reward them with a lifetime membership to the actual software.
Oh, okay. All right. Shoot, I just might jump up in that mix then. I mean, I like your project, so I'm, But that's just anybody likes free, not free. That's the wrong word of using, but the hookup. Everybody likes
Well,
to
it's
say,
a
"Oh, I was with them."
yeah.
But
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they want to be part of it, and that's what I'm trying to build here. Is yes, it's all great. You know, we have the token and we have the saw. I mean, it's really about community and the mission and the vision and me. So people have to be buying into me and what I'm doing with this because at the end of the day, I'm the one putting my foot on the gas and driving the vehicle. So they have to buy into that, and that's really what we're selling here is the project with me running it and then what we can do with it as we push it forward.
okay, okay. The other question that I have, and I think this is one of those things like, when you're pulling money out of the project, right? Like you got to live, right? You have to feed your kids and take care of people, right? And are do you have any other salary employees or people who are part of the project that are going to be taking the money out of your cofferdam for whatever it is? Do you have any salary people? Do you have any people that you're going to be paying constantly that are going to be on the voice chat, the VC constantly? What is that looking like for you? And
I
elaborate on it, please.
Yeah, I mean, we have our team members that work for my business. So, like I said, we have revenue outside. We don't need to run this project. So this project isn't about revenue generation. Obviously, if it turns into something bigger and we mold it into something, where we'd like to take it, could it take a lot more of our time and we put more of a team in place to actually sustain and run and continue to build it? Absolutely. As things grow, I like to always evaluate and look at where things are. But for the most part, we're not pulling. There's no team wallet. There's no bucket. There's nothing. I mean, the only thing where you could see some transition would be a potential marketing wallet, because if we, let's say we have a marketing wallet, obviously we can spend some of that, in the crypto type space in this arena, but we may pull some of that out to go into other arenas like Facebook and Google and all that. So there would be an extraction there to move those funds into a different direction of promoting the business. But I don't see the point in paying. I can pay my employees and sustain them on the other side with my other projects. I don't need to pay them through this project. So we have enough business. Our business sustains our life, right? Our business pays me, pays the team, it pays everything outside of this project. This project is a passion project based upon my experience in this community and wanted to put something real together. So there is no, there's no need, there's no feeding the family. No, that's all taken care of. And I think that
Love
makes a huge difference because I'm not trying to, you know, jump in and grab a bucket here and a bucket there, which I still think is fine. And if a team has a salary wallet, I think that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, that's not wasn't my goal is to make this a model to where we had to have this money come in order to pay for this team in order to make the project work.
Okay, I love it. The couple of the other questions have been privately hit me. Um, and this is kind of goes along with salary as well. So in January of 22, you talk about expanding the marketing campaign as well as CoinGecko listing for December, as well as CoinMarketCap. Are you going to pay to get listed, or are you going to do the slow route where you build up your volume and then you get listed? What are your plans when it comes to that?
I
So
mean, to me,
there's two questions there. So sorry about that. Go ahead.
yeah, and obviously now we're nearing the end of, well, we're mid-December, and as we push this pre-sale, so some of those December things would probably get pushed. CoinGecko, CoinMarket, potentially. It depends on how things go and flow. Are we going to pay to fast track those? To give you the honest, point blank answer, at this point, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes people want to hear, yeah, we're going to pay the $10,000 to fast track it. Once again, everything that we spend. So if I have a marketing wallet and I have, say, $10,000 worth of money in there, do I then take that and dump that into getting us listed on CoinGecko? Maybe the return is there. Maybe it makes sense, and maybe that's the decision we make. Or does it make more sense to continue to drive the volume and potentially go at it a more organic way, more natural way? Because a lot of these backdoor ways are actually getting caught up with now. So a lot of these places are they're locking down. They're seeing you come in, and there's potential from what I've seen some from other projects that, if they catch you doing some of this stuff, they could, what if they stripped you off, and now, you paid 10 grand, and now because you did it, technically it's not ethical, with what these things are doing. These are backdoor, deals, at least from what I've seen. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's ways to do things the right way. I try to do everything the right way, because if you do it the wrong way, it's going to catch up with you eventually. And I would hate to dump a marketing bucket, a wallet, into something like that, and then somehow, maybe it wouldn't, but that's how I look at it. I look at the big picture of, okay, maybe it takes us an extra week or two, but we did it in a legitimate fashion, and no one could ever go back and look at it and say, well, how did they, what, wait a minute, oh wait, this isn't real. Now they're gone. I don't know. I can't, that may happen, maybe it won't. But that's my manner. I would rather put things, on the table the right way and follow the process. So I'm not a big fan of, because I don't think fast tracking to me is really not the right word. It's what people are using to sell you. From what I've seen, it's a way to sugarcoat a backdoor deal of some kind of connection that can get you listed faster. Is it legitimate? Maybe. Is it ethical? Probably not. So it's
Yeah,
really not a fast track. It's more of an end around. Hey, my buddy works at CoinGecko, and for a little money on the site. So what's to say that doesn't get caught and they strip away all the listings this guy pushed through?
yep,
It's possible. They own the marketplace. They can do whatever they want.
Right. And if they
I agree.
strip you, they'll blacklist you, so you won't even be able to get back on there.
Yeah. So, I mean, is it worth that? If you want to build a real now, everybody, normally the right answer I'm supposed to tell you is, we're gonna fast track CoinGecko and CoinMarket so we
No,
can blow up,
no,
right? That's
not
what
the right
people want to
answer.
hear.
Not
Well,
not the
that's what
people
a
that
lot
you
of people.
want. Not the people you want
Yeah,
investing
not
in
the
your
people that I
projects. Yeah.
exactly, but a lot of times that's what the party line is of the politician, of, well, yeah, we're going to dump the money into this and this, and then we're going to blow the coin up, and you can make 100x, right? And I'll never say any of that, because I'm in the United States, so I'm not saying 1x, 2x,
Hmm.
10x. Any, I might say those as generalizations, but there's no way I can promise you anything of what this coin will do, or what's going to happen, because I just can't make those promises, because it's against the law, for one,
yep.
and for two, I don't know. I don't control the market. I can do the best I can with what we have. So I would rather build things as, and maybe, and that's how I am. I'm transparent and honest. I'm like, hey, if CoinGecko takes us 30 days, maybe it takes us 30 days, but we're legitimate. We walked through the process. We did it right, and I don't have to look over my shoulder wondering if we're going to lose it. And then what happens? Like you said, we're blacklisted, and then it's a real mess. Then what are you going to do? Then everybody's just going to, jump ship potentially. You've lost all the faith in everybody, and I don't think that's appropriate. I'd rather stay the course, walk the course in the proper fashion, and build it the right way, so that it has a chance to be real.
Man, that's a great answer. Wow. Can you expound a little bit more also on, well, expanding the marketing campaign in 2002? Like, are you talking about reaching out to, besides doing AMAs, which I think are phenomenal, like major influencers, or are you talking about doing it kind of the old-fashioned way in America? I mean, what are your thoughts? What are you planning on expanding marketing campaigns?
I mean, and Joe can probably feed into this as well, from his side of launching, but everything that I've seen, the research, the feedback, the other project owners I've talked to, I think influencers, in my opinion, at least the ones that are in this space, are all pretty much useless. They're a vanity metric. They're used to leverage the name to say, oh, we have whoever is supporting us, right? The crypto messiah, which apparently he tends to be the only exception to this rule. And I've heard that through a few numerous people, that potentially bringing him in could be a catapult. And I do have a potential connection there to get to him. I'm not saying I'll use it. I'm not saying I won't, but he's the only one that I've heard that actually brings real heat to a project and legitimate people. Now, with that said, he tends to bring a pump, but his people are looking to make money and go out. So is that
Mm-hmm.
a long sustainable thing? Is it really worth it? Maybe. Let it pump, let them pay their taxes. We fill up our buckets. Everybody's happy. We put a name on it. Is it still a good play? It might be, depending on the cost. He charges, I think, anywhere between 3,000 and $4,500 for a tweet. At least those are the ranges I've been given to bring him in. Is it worth it? maybe. So influencer wise, I would consider potentially him based upon the feedback that I've received. Everybody else, I haven't heard a lot about. I've heard nothing but just they don't really get a great return. My forte and where I really think that we can expand this, and I mentioned it kind of a little bit, but not fully earlier, is to bring this outside of this community, to do what we do, to use our digital marketing, to use Facebook, to use YouTube, Google, Twitter, to use it to educate people and bring them in, not only to market the software, which is pretty straightforward and easy to do, but to educate people on crypto in general, because that's what we do. We set up educational programs. I told you I had to create educational training just to get in my private people. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what is poo coin? Like, it doesn't even sound appealing to people because it's got the word poo in it. I mean, who the hell buys that? But yet I got people in to a private community to say, I believe in the vision of where you're taking this. Just tell me what the hell I have to do. So I had to create education just to show them how to set up MetaMask. And then I had to show them how to add, here's how you add the token to your wallet. And then once we deposit it, you'll see a number here. And then here's how you trade it if you want to. I can't tell them what to do, but I can say, if you want to sell it, here's how you sell it. If you want to buy more, here's how you buy more. I give them general education. So I think by expanding that and using platforms outside of this community, I think we have a much better chance of building things. So shorter term, like maybe I've seen, Crypto Messiah go in line with things like, the CMC and the CoinGecko and things like that. That could be a potential play. I'm not ruling it out because, like I said, I've gotten feedback where that tends, and I've looked at a lot of charts after he's tweeted, and it does seem to work short term, but coupled with some of these other things like the CMC, as well as some other groups that do call outs. What I do see what I really try to do is I try to research. I love to dig in. So I always, like, I went through like a whole bunch of his tweets. I did this personally. I went through his tweets. I backtracked into the project. I looked at their graph. I went through their Telegram. I figured out, okay, well, they did this call. They did this call out from this group at this point, and then they brought him in. And I looked at their chart, and I would match up the times, and I would see, did it grow? Did it sustain the growth? Did it just peak and dump? So I looked at all that, and he actually did seem legitimate. Coupled with other things, I think it could be a good play. So that's basically, and on our website, we talk about building out education outreach, what I just talked about, bringing in other people, and then looking at potential other exchanges at that point too as we move forward.
Okay, I love that. That's okay. That's yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that idea is that the majority of the time it's just useless, and I feel like some of the people who do, unless they have a deep following and they themselves bring up like I'm gonna use Vetter. When you bring them in, they're great, right? They give a good push, but the majority of the people they'll buy in and then they take out half their position and then they just let it run and see what happens, right? But
Yeah.
that idea, if you get brought in with them, you kind of get smacked, right? It's like, oh, that hurt. And then you need new buyers. Um, and the idea of poo coin, I mean, I didn't get into crypto literally because the name poo coin, and I thought it was a scam website, like
Yeah.
legit. And just your push on that education point of being able to get that out there with your marketing on Facebook and stuff, it would actually help the community in such a magnificent way, saying, we know this seems weird, but this is what they use it because of this. So I mean, I just want to applaud that. That's Please do that.
Yeah,
So I
and that's the thing. I look at this community, and you could easily say that it's shit coins, it's garbage, it's a bunch of you could classify this as a really bad group of people. I mean, you could, if you really looked at it on the surface, and I don't even know why you would call your stuff poo coin, just because see, to me that's just a stupid marketing play anyway. Like, they used it because they thought it was probably funny, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, everybody's jumping in buying this stuff, playing around. But there's a lot of good people. I mean, like you, Pedro. I mean, I love your questions are great. You're very articulate. You're asking some awesome questions. We got Joe. There's a lot of good people in this market, and I feel I'm a good person as well. So that's part of the passion behind this, because I know there's good people here, and I know real projects. And that's another question. Well, why didn't you just go to Ethereum? Why didn't you go on these other? And I'm like, because that everybody can do that. I can take a real business over there, but I think it takes something special. And I think people in this community, the good people that are here, deserve a good project to invest in. So that's the reason I'm here. Could I've gone without all the hassle of all a lot of the crazy stuff that goes on here and all the scamming. I mean, I get scammed on the service side, and I'm sure Joe has too. Like I said, you'd be silly to think that you didn't, because there, people put out oh, hey, I'll do this, and I'm like, all right, I'll pay you a little bit, or I'll pay you for this. Or I had a guy the other day, I wanted a referral bot. I thought that was a cool idea. So he set it up ahead of time. Right, he set up this bot for me. He put my logo on it, so he basically kind of delivered it to me ahead of time. And then I pay him, and then he like changes the bot all around. And even though I was the administrator, I didn't know he somehow still scammed me. And now I got a useless bot that I dropped like $100 on. So there's bad people in this industry that take advantage of people, but there's also a lot of good people, and that is what I want to bring out. I want to, we're going to have the people that want to come in and pump and dump. That's fine. There might be private people that want to just dump what they've been part of, and that's fine too. I'm not going to hold anybody to anything, but I want to at least give them as safe a place as I can give them, to let them know that, you know what, I don't care what anybody does. I know that the token is still going to be here tomorrow. I'm going to be here tomorrow. My Telegram's going to be here tomorrow. My group's going to be here tomorrow. You're not going to click and it's going to say deleted account. I can guarantee 100% that, and that's why we spent the extra money with the KYC and the extra doxing. So it's like a double dox if you really look at it that way, through two different platforms, to show people that we're here. And you know what? I can't guarantee other than I will be here tomorrow, and I'll be here the next day and the next day, and doing everything I can to push this. And that's the only guarantee I can make 100%. Is the token's going to be here and everything's going to be here. And if we have a problem, I tell people like, hey, we have a problem, and here's how we're trying to fix the problem. And that's the best I can ever do with anybody, is just be honest and give them the facts. And if people don't like it, then they don't support us. But I hope that people do like the mission and the vision and what we're trying to do here, and they come along for the ride.
See, honestly, that's all we can really ask, right? And that's as long as there's the transparency, as long as there is upfront, even say, hey, I hope this goes right, and let your cards fall where they may. But that idea is simply just being open, honest, and forthright. Whereas to the best of your knowledge, right? Because you can't see the future unless you're Yahweh, right? So
Yeah.
there's that idea though that I would say that's what people want, right? That's the real crux of things. I don't see any other questions in the chat unless anybody has any more, and I'll ask them. But Joe, I yield to you, my friend.
I appreciate it. I only have about one more like serious question. This will probably be the only tough one I actually give you, because I'm kind of curious. So your lock tokens, now, are they all releasing in 3 months, or what's the actual plan with those? Like, what's the period that they're coming out? What's the point of them? Are you just dumping them into the market? I mean, I know it won't be a malicious dump, but like I know how we set ours up. But what's the actual like thought out plan with yours?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I just wanted to lock them to get through this, and then if we, had a future utility or an expansion, I think it's set for like a 90-day. I mean, if that's an issue with people, because there's no definition of, okay, we're going to design and develop a utility, or I'm going to need a certain amount at this point. So I need to look at that further. So, I mean, I don't have a problem locking them longer, because there's no definition for them at this point. There's no plan. They're just locked for future utility or potential use that we would need to potentially expand. I don't know. I've seen other places do potentially other pre-sales and things like that. I don't think we would do that, but they're just, they're set aside, they're locked, so they can't be touched for at least 90 days. And then, yeah, I wouldn't be just waiting for that 90 days to sell them, because I don't think we need to. We have the marketing wallet and we have everything else rolling that's going to support the project. So we haven't actually defined future utility or the use of what they would be beneficial. And if that can't be decided, in 90 days, if it's still the case, we just relock them, because I don't have any need to leave them open, because there's no need for them unless we have a specific need to utilize them.
Now, have you made sure to turn the rewards off for that wallet, or is it going to get the majority of the reflections?
The rewards for which wallet?
So, like when we did our lock investing wallet, we actually had to remove that wallet from receiving rewards, or because it holds 35% of the total supply, it would receive almost 50% of the reflections that were intended for the community. Have you basically whitelisted that to make sure that it's not receiving rewards, or is the locked wallet actually going to receive more than 50% of the total rewards meant for the out of the like the reflections?
I would have to. We actually use the Pink Lock through Pink Cell,
Mhm.
so I would have to check. I know we've excluded all the other interaction with Pink Cell to not pay any of the fees and nothing gets sent back through them. As for the lock, I would have to check into that. I don't.
Yeah.
I can't give you an answer on it because I'm
No,
not.
that's
All I
totally
know is
fine. I
yeah, I
just
mean the lock. Yeah, if you look at the lock, which any of you can go look at the lock. If you go to Pink Cell and you go down to Pink Lock, and then you put in our token address, which is on our website, you can see they're locked and it shows the time. But I will have to check with them to
yeah.
find out if there is, if they're in a, I don't know if they're in a wallet. I'm guessing maybe they don't. Let me
It
bring it up here to see
yeah,
if it.
it should theoretically go into its own wallet, and once it becomes unlocked, if it gets returned to a different
Okay,
wallet,
there is a wallet.
yeah.
You know what? There is a
So
wallet address here. So I'll just exclude this wallet address from everything. I can do that right now in the contract. So I can
yeah,
take. You're right. There right now it says wallet address, and I can just token. Yeah, there was a wallet address that I have here, so I can take that and I can exclude it from the actual
the
contract.
other piece of advice there too is make sure that you don't intend on ever re-including it. So that was one of the big hiccups we had. Is we're not a like hyper deflationary token. We had the burn wallet received rewards, and when we got our CMC listing, we actually removed the burn wallet from receiving rewards. 24 hours later, when we went to put the burn wallet back on, it threw us out of sync on PancakeSwap because it had such a large portion. It pinged us as a honeypot. So just be really
Oh,
careful when you are adding and removing. This is just something like I'm glad that we kind of had a little bit of this discussion before you launch to save you a potential massive headache. So just make sure that if you either never intend, like if it's going to be in a separate wallet, that you never intend on that wallet to be reactivated for rewards, or when it goes out of lock, if it gets transferred to a new wallet, just keep an eye on it, because at that point, if it's receiving rewards, it's going to receive the majority of your reflections, and a lot of community members might either catch on to that, and it won't be malicious on your part, but it'll just look
yeah.
unintentionally malicious. So just kind of keep that little quip in your back pocket. But
Yeah, no, I'm gonna
yeah,
make a note of that. I
yeah,
appreciate you sharing that because I just put them in the lock,
yeah,
figuring we locked them out and they were there, but now I can see that it did say wallet address, so I can easily just drop that in and do the exclude on it. So
yeah.
I'll make
Because
sure that
until you
that
start moving tokens around, you wouldn't have known, and then it would have just been one of those like, oh shit moments. So
yeah.
yeah,
No,
um,
thank you.
yeah, of course. So really, that's all I had. So I appreciate your time.
There is
Yeah,
there is one more question in the chat. I'm
yeah.
sorry to
No, that's
interrupt.
okay.
Tyler's basically asking, once the pre-sale ends, how long till public sale? Then how long till like airdrop and live trading, basically the actual launch, the fair launch itself? So if you don't mind going into that. And what
Sure.
are the time frames? Like, let's say, is it going to be like 30 minutes, right? So you have your pre-sale whitelisters, right? Then you have you open to the public for the pre-sale. Like, there's going to be 30 minutes, an hour, and then once the fair launch happens, which is basically when the chart goes live, or we got a 24 hour, 48 hour, or an hour. So just if you could elaborate on that, please.
Sure. The pancake, how we have it set now is our pre-sale is this coming Monday, the 20th at 3 o'clock UTC time, so 3 p.m. UTC. We didn't do a whitelist, so it's all wide open to the public. So we didn't, anybody that's in the group, anybody that follows us. So as soon as the pre-sale goes live, we like I said, we don't have a whitelist, so we wanted to leave it open to everybody. Once that fills, we will schedule the Pancake Swap live actual launch within 24 hours of that fill time. So if we fill, which is the goal to fill Monday at 3 p.m., hopefully we'll be making an announcement that we're going live on Tuesday at 3 p.m., 24 hours later. So that's the plan.
All right, so just make sure. So your public pre-sale launch is basically going to be 3 p.m. on Friday,
No,
correct?
Monday.
Or excuse me, I meant Monday. Today I was thinking Friday. So in 3 days. Then within
Correct.
24-hour period, you're literally going to do the open fair launch. The other question that I have for that, because we know what's going on within BSC and a lot of the scammers that are, even Pink Cell, right? Selling a ton of the, supply that you have to give to them. Do you have any like when to buy. So for example, I've seen a few of these other people, what they do is they go through, they let it launch and have all the bots push it up, then it turns around and then they tell everybody, okay, now buy, because they put anti-bot measures in it. They want it, they'll close the actual VC as well as chat to let all these guys be knuckleheads and deal with all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Too much.
no, I mean, to be honest, I mean, we didn't put any. The pink sale does have anti-bot type technology. That's not. We didn't apply that to the contract. I think there's still time. I think we could add it if possible. I kind of looked at it briefly, but as per that, I mean, I don't. I mean, the time to buy. I mean, I can't tell people how to invest or buy, but when just I can talk from experience. Ideally, if you get into the pre-sale, that's your best position. It's also going to be. It's going to determine, what your goal is. I mean, it's going to determine if you're just trying to 2x or 10x or whatever. And I'm not saying it can do that. I'm saying if your goal is just to buy a pre-sale and potentially have it go up and sell, then ideally your best position is to buy it pre-sale, and then when it goes live you go to whatever number you'd like it to go to, and then you could potentially cash out. I mean, that's what I tried to do before when I was looking at projects like this. If ultimately holding is going to be the best, if you're looking for more of a long-term gain, because then as we usually from what I've seen, it's 24 to more like 48 hours until everything kind of gets flushed out, all the pump and dump type stuff that happens. And then after that, things start to level off, and then we can start to build, and then things should start to move in the right direction and move up as we implement more marketing, start bringing more people into it. So I mean, it just depends on you. I mean, to me, the best time to buy any project is at pre-sale. I mean, because you're going to get a better rate than anybody at that point. The pre-sale rate is, I think, is 1.5. The public rate's 1.25. You're getting a better deal. You're getting more tokens for your investment. So ideally, no matter what you're trying to do, you buy it pre-sale, and then you can, if you want to sell it at launch or hold it past the pump and dump as we start to build, or we get a market listing, because things always start to go up at that point. Then it just depends on what your goal is, but to me, you're getting more tokens if you buy it pre-sale than if you buy at the fair launch, when we're open to the public.
Roger that, sir.
So with that, really, those were all the questions that I had. Looks like there's really no more in the community. We've been talking for about an hour and a half now, so I do know how valuable each of our times are. But if there's anything else you kind of want to say to wrap it up, by all means, the floor is yours.
No, I just want to obviously thank Joe, and Pedro as well. I certainly appreciate you coming in and reading the other questions and bringing all those questions in and different insights, and Joe for taking the time to let me come here today. It's cool that I'm the first person to do the ADA here, so I guess that's I get another feather in my cap. I'll have to put it on our site that we were the premier token that was hosted by American Dream. So you should make a badge, Joe, and you can have people put it on their website. But
There we go.
no, I mean, I thank you all for your time. For taking time to listen, taking time. If you're watching this on a replay, potentially, thank you. And if you're looking for something that you can come and be part of, like I said, it doesn't. I don't discriminate. No matter what you want to do, if you want to come in on the pre-sale and sell, or you want to come in on the pre-sale and watch us build things, it all depends on what your goal is. But if you like what you heard and you like what you can check our website out and come to our Telegram. We certainly appreciate the support, because we're going to be here. Like I said, we're going to be here tomorrow, the next day, and we're going to continue to drive this project the best we can. And thank you everybody for your time, and thank you Joe and Pedro as well.
Of course. Well, on that note, I'll go ahead and shut it all down, but you have a wonderful weekend. I know myself personally, I was actually interested in your pre-sale, part of why I wanted to talk to you. So if anybody else is, I 100% support diversification, but also as our project grows, I definitely know I'll be talking to you more in the future about a few things that we might be able to collaborate on. So enjoy your weekend, enjoy your holidays, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you too.
All right. Bye.